Well, today's Toledo against number 22 Utah State, the WAC champs, undefeated and with a 10-win season. Tom Hart with Mike Bellotti. Quint Kesenick is down on the blue turf. Happy to have you along with us today from Boise on a chilly day for football, and two teams ecstatic to be here. Utah State, first conference title, outright conference title since 1936 when they were in the Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference. And plenty of Aggie faithful have made the drive up from Logan. Utah State won the toss, elected to defer. It's 40 degrees here at kickoff. Bernard Reedy, one of the best in the nation, deep to return. And he's got it at the 7. Reedy has room, and he gets taken down just past the 30-yard line.
He is so scary, and that is why they like to have the ball in his hands. Every time he touches it, is a threat to go all the way.
One of the best in the nation, and let's say hello now to Austin Danton. The senior quarterback is making just his 3rd start of the season, but his 25th career start.
Yeah, and he won the coin flip to start the first game of the season, then sort of sat around for a while as Terrence Owen led the team to 8 straight victories, but was pressed into service in the last game, threw 5 touchdowns.
Oh, this is a big story for Toledo. The nation's leading tackler, Dan Moles, on the special teams unit, being helped off the field by the Toledo athletic training staff.
That is not a good sign for their defense.
But for now, it's the offense, and Austin Danton, the senior from Tallahassee, Florida, threw for 5 touchdowns on senior night against Akron last time out. Flea flicker to start. Danton with time, a wobbler over the middle, caught. This is Reedy, and he gets taken down at the 31-yard line.
You always talk about in the bowl game, last game of the season, you throw out the kitchen sink. This is the flea flicker. You can see it. They toss the ball, hand it off, toss it back to the quarterback, and then they find Reedy down the field. No huddle, so we got to go quick.
37-yard pickup from Danton to Reedy. McCade Brady with the tackle for Utah State. No huddle, shotgun attack, and Danton will hand it off this time to David Fluellen. Fluellen was banged up last week against Akron, didn't play, but he picks up nearly 10 on his first carry. Zach Vigil with the stop.
And that was a great sign for the Toledo running game. Not just that Fluellen carried the ball, but he was untouched for the first 5 yards down the field. And when you get it back that kind of a head start, he's going to make a ton of yardage.
8th in the nation with 133 yards a game, 13 touchdowns on the season for Fluellen. And a tough senior year for the quarterback, Austin Danton, banished to the bench for the most part. Fluellen again, left side, and he picks up a couple more to take it to the 20. And there's Moles getting attention on the sideline for Toledo.
Both of these teams are really great at defense in the red zone, so it'll be very interesting. The offenses are in tough sledding down here inside that 20-yard line.
Dan checks and will look back to the sideline. A Toledo offense, which was on fire last week against Akron under the direction of Danton, and with David Pascal, the backup running back, seeing action. Now Reedy motions. They want to go to him in the flat, and it's incomplete. The ball is live. Now it's whistle dead. Kyler Fackrell, the talented freshman, with the stop, sniffing out the play to Reedy.
You always have to be careful with the bubble-type screens to the sideline, whether those are a lateral or a forward pass. That was ruled a forward pass, so it's just incomplete. Had it been a lateral, it would have been a live ball.
3rd and 7 now for Toledo. And head coach Matt Campbell, Mount Union product. He was happy to see his guys get another Division III national title last night. Utah State will shift as the play comes in for Toledo. Danton, long pass, short of the sticks, and drops Cordell Scott, the Illinois transfer.
This is a great chess match when these teams go to the survey mode, where the offense will look back over the sideline, because the defenses will also change their call. They'll try to force them into one look. Either they're going to come with pressure, then they'll step back and play coverage.
37-yard attempt for Jeremiah Detmer, sophomore from Hilliard, Ohio. And he sneaks it inside the left upright. So Toledo able to score on its opening possession. Question remains as to whether or not the nation's leading tackler will be on the field here in a moment.
That's a good start for Toledo in that they need to get a fast start. Utah State has not given up a touchdown and has outscored everybody 121-6 in the first quarter this year. Toledo needs a fast start to keep in this game.
And we welcome those of you who have just watched the amazing comeback by Arizona over Nevada out in Albuquerque. Tom Hart, Mike Bellotti, and Quint Kessenich in Boise, Idaho for Toledo and number 22, Utah State. And a major injury on the very first play of the game on the opening kickoff. The nation's leading tackler, Dan Moles, the middle linebacker for the Rockets, was banged up. He is on the sideline, as you can see, without his helmet. Toledo's opening drive ended up in 3, and Utah State will get the ball here in a moment. Chuck Jacobs and Travis Reynolds back to return. From about the 2, this is Jacobs. And upended at the 20-yard line. Well, here's what Toledo is missing from their middle linebacker.
Only about 160-some tackles leading the nation, and he plays on special teams. That's one of the things that they talked about this year, that their good players also played on special teams. A bad sign is they're not letting him keep his helmet, so whatever type of injury, he's not going to play for a while at least.
So the senior from North Royalton, Ohio, will have to watch from the sideline. First team academic All-America as well, and that is a big blow for the Toledo defense. Chucky Keaton is the starting quarterback for the Aggies of Utah State. He's got Kerwin Williams with him, and play action in the first play. Keaton has to scramble. He's very good at that and manages to pick up maybe a yard. Let's go down to the blue turf now and Quint Kessenich.
Tom, the medical staff down here is taking a cautious wait-and-see approach. It was Moles hobbling off to the sideline. Really needed help to walk. He's been leaning up against his training table for about the past 10 minutes. He has not stood up on his own power. His helmet is off. They have not put him through a battery of tests yet. What it looks like is they're waiting here to let his symptoms subside, and then they're going to put him through a battery of tests.
Quint, thank you. And so Toledo going without their middle linebacker here. And a little option. Keaton will keep it himself once again and gets just past the line of scrimmage, setting up a 3rd and long. Chucky Keaton has really developed, Coach, as a quarterback over the last year.
He's done a tremendous job. He's increased his efficiency by working on his footwork and his repetitive accuracy. And that's one thing they talked about, because it goes with, he can run the football. He's a dangerous two-way threat, but his efficiency is much better this year.
As far as linebackers are concerned, Robert Bell has slid over to middle linebacker. Trent Voss is on the field with Junior Silvestri for the linebacking core now for the Rockets. 3rd and 8 for Keaton. He has time. Caught for a first down for Utah State. It's the difference between an athlete and a quarterback.
Absolutely. Great physical catch. He knew he was going to get hit. When you throw over the middle, you got to be prepared for a collision, for contact. This ball is thrown up there. The guy goes up, does a great job, takes a heck of a hit from the free safety, but hangs on to the football.
Opening possession for the Aggies of Utah State, undefeated in the final season of WAC football. An outright conference champs for the first time since the 1930s. Here's a screen play. It gets down to the 40-yard line to Bruce Natson, a freshman from Oakland Park, Florida.
And I'll tell you what, that had a chance to go. That was a jailbreak screen. Had he been able to keep his balance, there was a lot of blue turf ahead of him.
Should see a lot of screens from both the offenses today.
Yes, I think that's one way to counter the zone blitz type thing, is to screen into the blitz. You like to throw it to that side where they vacate people in the defense.
2nd and 8 now for Utah State. Chucky Keaton, a school record 66% completion percentage. And to the out route, and another completion. And fighting for the first down is Travis Reynolds. And it's a fresh set of downs once again for the Aggies as we meet Utah State's impact players.
Well, we talked about Chucky Keaton already, what he does. Kerwin Williams, though, is the guy, just a home run threat. Out of the backfield, touch the ball, and can take it all the way with his speed. Can also be a kick returner at the next level.
Kerwin Williams is 11th in the nation in all-purpose yardage. He doesn't have a touch yet today on Utah State's first possession. Pass midfield and sweep. And there's Keaton, and he's thrown for a loss. Pardon me, Kerwin Williams thrown for a loss. It was Voss who made the play in there.
Great job of sniffing out the fly sweep, giving it to him on the move, so he's going to be that much faster. But they played a great job of contain on the outside. Super job of defense of setting the edge.
Ben Pike getting some action as well at linebacker for Toledo with Dan Moles out. Play action, Chucky Keaton has Williams short, and he'll lose Pike by turning around and launch this one towards the sideline.
One of the things that his coach talked about was the maturity to understand when to throw the ball away. And that certainly was one. When you're 13 yards behind your line of scrimmage and you're trapped back there, throw it out of bounds past the down marker so that you save the down.
WAC Coach of the Year Gary Anderson and his offensive coordinator Matt Wells challenged Chucky Keaton in practice the other day. He said, we want you to be perfect, 38 for 38. Anything else is a bad day. Chucky kind of rolled his eyes, and he went out and he went 42 for 44 with one drop and one missed throw. That was okay at the end of things. 3rd and 17. Another screen opportunity, and that one is busted up. Bruce Natson had nowhere to go. And now punting situation for the Aggies. Robert Bell with the stop.
One of the best ways to stop the screen is to stop it before it gets started. Be there as the receiver catches the ball and eliminate him getting downfield with the blocks of the offensive lineman who release.
Tyler Bennett to punt it away to the always dangerous Bernard Reedy. First team All-MAC performer as a punt returner and wide receiver. Second team All-Conference as a kickoff returner, but a whistle will stop this one. And Utah State has had punting issues this season. They led on the road at Wisconsin before 2 bad punts gave the Badgers the victory. Kenzel Doe with a long punt return touchdown for Brett Bielema.
They like Tyler Bennett, though, in terms of his ability to drop the ball down inside the 20, those kicks that can be down.
Illegal substitution. Defense, 12 men on the field. 5-yard penalty, remains 4th down.
That can happen sometimes in a bowl game. You're trying to get a lot of young kids into the game, some people that have impressed you in bowl practice, but they forget who's in on the downs like that.
3 weeks of practice for both of these teams. Bennett with a great looking punt, and all Reedy can do is take a fair catch inside the 10. A 45-yard punt for Tyler Bennett, the senior from Phoenix, and still without Dan Moles on the field for the Rockets.
Watching ESPN's presentation of Capital One Bowl Week.
And welcome to the famous Idaho Potato Bowl on ESPN as part of Capital One Bowl Week. Quick start here in the foothills at Boise, and Toledo with the lead over number 22 Utah State. And though we're 2,500 miles away, we want to send along our condolences, our thoughts and prayers still with the families in the community and the victims in Newtown, Connecticut. But for now, football gives us a break. And so Tom Hart with Mike Bellotti, and so far today, a very tough break for the Toledo Rockets. They lost the nation's leading tackler on the opening kickoff.
Yeah, the first plays have been good and bad for Toledo. Bad is that they lost their leading tackler, Dan Moles, on the first play in the kickoff. He just takes a hit and can't quite get to the sideline. It's just really, I don't know if it's a shoulder or what it is, but it has to be helped off. And then the first play, they run a flea flicker on offense and sets up the field goal. So tough, though, to lose Dan Moles. He's the heart of that defense.
Family with him. His dad Andrew was down there a moment ago. He played at Kentucky. The senior Moles not likely to see action today. And so back on offense for Toledo. And Austin Danton, the senior quarterback, in for the second series. He got the start today, his second straight start, after being on the bench basically all season. And Llewellyn with his carry. Let's check in once again with Quint Kessenich.
Toledo athletic trainer John Walters telling me that they are going to reevaluate him in 10 or 15 minutes, but it's extremely doubtful that they're going to let him back in the game. When you think about the senior and how with their 4-3 defense, everything funnels to him and he can make those tackles and roam the middle of the field. Multiple players are going to have to pick it up for Toledo on defense.
Quint, thanks. Back to that in a moment. 2nd and 4 here for Toledo. And Reedy goes in motion. Llewellyn again, straight up the middle, and he's got a little bit of room and lowers his shoulder for a first down. Coach, if it is concussion-like symptoms for Moles, what does waiting 15 minutes do for the training staff?
Well, what they've done is they've probably given him a password that they're going to ask him to repeat to them, and they have 2 different people that give him 2 different passwords. If he can retain that information and answer those questions correctly, they may consider he going back in the game.
Incomplete as Danton got put on his back. Alex Molik was the intended receiver. Austin Danton started the first game of the season against Arizona. It was planned rotation with Terrence Owens. They each got 2 series. We should still see Owens sometime today.
We should. He is healthy. He has been practicing, but they just felt off of the last game performance. But Austin Danton gives them the confidence that they can win this football game. But they'll go with the hot hand eventually, whichever quarterback plays the best.
Terrence Owens did not practice at all last week, still recovering from an ankle injury. And last week is when they did the bowl week installation and game preparation, and Austin Danton got all of those reps. But Owens did practice this week. On 2nd and 10, nowhere to go for Fluellen that time.
And this is Utah State has talked about they need to stop the running game of Toledo. Toledo is a run-first team. They run 55% of the time. And early on, they were having much success running straight ahead. Utah State has to stop that and be more physical at the point of attack.
3rd and 9 now.
This is that dial-a-zone blitz time for Utah State.
It may seem like they're bringing more, but typically they only bring 4. And they bring an extra man here. Danton down the sideline. Incomplete, but a flag on the play. Willie Davis, their talented cornerback, had the coverage on Justin Olak.
Will Davis is their lockdown cover guy. They love him in man-to-man, but he got fooled that time. It was a 2-move route. He got caught pushing or peeking and then had a collision with the receiver while the ball was in the air.
CFO West crew made up of officials that called Big 12, Mountain West, and Southland games.
Defense, number 17. Automatic first down, spot of the foul.
You can watch as this transpires. He just puts his hands on him too much right there, and the ball is in the air. He can get away with that if the ball weren't thrown in that area.
Davis has 5 straight games with a pick, leads the nation in passes defended. And the line judge blows his whistle and comes in. There was still plenty of time left on the game clock. 12 seconds, on the play clock. No explanation.
They just had to check something for their own sake.
Well, they got it straight. And now Austin Danton, the senior from Tallahassee, tries to do the same. Tempo will be a key for both of these offenses. As Bernard Reedy goes in motion, play clock at 1. When they get the snap off in time, Danton over the middle, crossing route, and Reedy, who's so dangerous coming across the grain, is brought down at the line of scrimmage by Zach Vigil. Time now to take a look at the impact players for the Rockets of Toledo.
Well, we've talked about Fluellen and his influence in the ring. Bernard Reedy is really the guy because he plays on not just offense, but special teams. He's a great turner. And Alonzo Russell's their big receiver down the field. They like him to go up in high-point balls against DBs.
Both Reedy and Russell are deep threats. Russell has 3 touchdowns, 59 yards or more this season, is coming off 139 yards in the finale against Akron. 2nd and 10. Fluellen straight up the hash mark, and he dives forward near the 45-yard line. There was some question as to how healthy David Fluellen would be today after suffering a turned ankle a couple of weeks ago. How does he look to you, Coach?
He looks very impressive to me. In addition to having great vision and patience, and the ball was snapped there a little bit early. That happens sometimes if it's crowded and noise. The center's waiting for a particular sound or a signal. Sometimes he sees it and it's snapped early.
Zach Karen, first team All-MAC center, got a little anxious.
That's one of the issues with the tempo and the pace of the offense. That 3rd down, they were shifting and trying to get into something. Ball got snapped way early.
And so a missed opportunity for Toledo. Vince Penza, junior from Canfield, Ohio, on to punt it away. McCade Brady and Cameron Webb waiting to return. They'll let it roll to the 15. Only 14 punts from Penza have been returned this season, and another one that goes without a return after a 44-yarder. And their leader still on the bench.
ESPN College Football, the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, is brought to you by the Idaho Potato Commission, Aflac, official partner of the Heisman Trophy, and ProjectLuna.com.
That was the Mash Bash last night, the Battle of the Bands, downtown Boise. What a great week put on by the folks here in Boise, the Idaho Potato Commission. Famous Idaho Potato Bowl, Toledo with a 3-0 lead. Tom Hart with Mike Velati and Quint Kesnick. Happy to have you along with us today. And head coach Matt Campbell is in his first full season, but this is already his second bowl game as a head coach. Not a bad way to start it.
No, and he's already got a bowl win in his first game, which is a nice way to start your career.
Chucky Keaton hands it off on first down for Utah State, and just back to the line of scrimmage is Kerwin Williams. And for more, let's go back down to the blue turf and Quint.
The animated guys in between the TV timeout there circled his entire offense, says, guys, we are hurting ourselves. We're playing too slow. Get lined up. Pointed to a bunch of the wide receivers, says, stop talking smack and get back lined up.
Quint, thanks. Matt played his college ball at Mount Union. They won another national title last night. Pass is complete to Matt Austin, and Austin takes it for a first down. 6th-year senior, 24 years old. Was out of football for a year after playing at Mount San Antonio Junior College, and 2 years missed because of injuries, both physical and emotional. Broken foot cost him the year in 2009. In 2010, the opener at Oklahoma ruptured his patella tendon, tore his quadricep, and dislocated his kneecap. But he's back and playing in his final game for the Aggies here in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. On play action, over the middle, nearly picked off. Into coverage went Keaton, and Jermaine Robinson has 4 picks on the season, and the first-team all-conference safety was right there on Kellen Bartlett.
You got to watch out for Jermaine Robinson, because he not only intercepts them, but he returns them for touchdowns. He's got 4 touchdowns in his career on interception returns. He does a great job of seeing the receiver's eyes and playing the ball in the air. You can't teach that. That's what a great safety does.
And some extra movement up front. Everybody was off and running, and Tyler Larson, the 2-time first-team all-conference center, never moved the ball.
Prior to the snap, ball start, offense. Replay second down.
Coach, 12 bowls for you as a coach in your career. How do you try and get your offenses going early in the game after such a long layoff?
Well, you try to, the last couple weeks prior to the bowl game, you try to do as much up-tempo stuff, meaning full speed, good against good, so you don't lose that edge, because you're right, it's tough when you haven't played in a while.
2nd and 15. Looking for the screen again out to Chuck Jacobs, and he takes it past the 30 to the 31. Here are the impact players for Toledo on the defensive side of the ball, and one man missing is their main man in the middle. Dan Moles, the nation's leading tackler.
Yeah, it's tough when you lose him, and Jermaine Robinson, we talked about his accomplishments as a safety, but when you lose a guy like Dan Moles, the Toledo defense, every one of those 11 guys out there now may have picked up their game a little bit. It may be a loss on the one hand, but it's going to motivate everybody to play their best football.
Trent Voss extended time now with Moles out, and they had an extra man on the field. Barely got him off if they did. No flag. Keaton flush, and now he tucks it, and he will dance his way to a first down for Utah State.
And that is what Chucky Keaton can do. He may be the most dangerous when it is a design pass play and it breaks down and he starts to tuck it and run. He can just do so many things with so many moves and ultimately get the first down.
They didn't have an extra man. Toledo ran a man off and ended up with 10 on the field on that last play, trying to defend Keaton's hard enough with 11.
Yeah, 10, you leave a void out there somewhere.
So some miscommunication. Both teams a little rusty here in the first quarter from Boise. Kerwin Williams, no, this is the option, and Keaton's got it, and he's got room. Only blue in front of him. Chucky Keaton inside the 10. Touchdown, Utah State. Keaton with a 62-yard run off the option.
Tremendous play call and tremendous execution. He had a touchdown, or he could have pitched it to the pitchback. Either one of them. They had one defender out there after it all broke down. and Chucky Keaton uses his wheels to finish the play and score.
In their big win earlier this season against Louisiana Tech to wrap up the WAC title, he went for 121 on the ground. Well on his way to that here today. And Utah State able to answer thanks to Chucky Keaton, the sophomore from Houston, Texas. And when you're running the option, a great running quarterback is always a great option. Beat one man and took it 62 yards for the score. Number 22, Utah State with the lead on Toledo 7-3 with 3:07 to go in the first. Let's take a look at that touchdown run by Keaton.
Yeah, what a great job. Now, initially lines up that they're going to do this. They're going to run the fake option here, and they're going to come over the top with these two guys. And when that happens, as we watch, I want to show you how it breaks down the defense. They step inside to stop the dive. Now, right out here, stop for 1 second. Here's the perfect point. We've got two offensive guys, and we got one defensive guy. He's got to make a huge decision there. Once he does, it's going to be a touchdown one way or the other. He commits outside. Chucky Keaton has the speed to finish this play and put Utah State on the board.
Toledo playing without their team leader on defense, Dan Moles, the nation's leading tackler. Could that have something to do with miscommunication defending the option?
It very easily could. You have guys that are playing now maybe slightly different positions, even though it's still a linebacker position. Your responsibilities on the inside and the outside may change slightly. He may have been able to overlap there and provide an extra body at the point of attack so you don't get outnumbered.
And so with 3:07 to go, Utah State undefeated in the final season of football in the WAC with the lead. Jaron Bentrude will kick it off, and the always dangerous Bernard Reedy stands inside the 5. They're going to give Reedy a chance from the 6. And Reedy dives out to the 23-yard line. Former conference rivals square off Thursday on ESPN as BYU's 5th-ranked scoring defense looks to put the wraps on San Diego State's explosive ground game in the San Diego County Credit Union Poinsettia Bowl. Capital One Bowl Week, Thursday at 8 on ESPN. BYU San Diego is also live on the Watch ESPN app. BYU, one of 2 losses for Utah State this season. A 6-3 final there. They lost 2 games on missed field goals. Otherwise, we'd be talking about the Aggies as BCS busters.
Partner snap. False start. Offense, number 81. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
It's interesting that Austin Danton is still in there. They talked about that they are going to play both quarterbacks. They didn't have a design plan, though. It wasn't going to be 2-2 series or something like that. So I'm curious as to when they might make the switch to Owens.
Terrence Owens took over the starting spot after the first game of the season against Arizona. He was magnificent against Wyoming, and Danton was basically stuck on the bench until senior day. Here comes a corner blitz, right into that blitz, and a gain of maybe 1 by David Fluellen.
And you might ask, why are they blitzing on first down? Well, the defense is ahead of the chains. It's 1st and 15. They can take a shot. You see that Utah State defense. Dowdy, Vigil is the ever-ready bunny out there. He leads them in tackles for loss and sacks, and Will Davis is the shutdown corner.
Been in on 10 tackles for loss this season, has Vigil at the middle linebacker spot. 2nd and 14 for the Rockets. One of 7 teams in the MAC playing in a bowl this season. They empty the backfield for Danton. Time tipped over the middle and nearly picked off. And now injuries continue for Toledo. Their starting running back, David Fluellen, who was hobbled by an ankle in the season finale against Akron, is getting his left leg looked at.
Both of those are massive losses for a football program. You've got your leading tackler and your leading rusher, and Fluellen sets up the entire offense for Toledo because running the football allows him to throw it off of the run.
David Pasquale was fantastic in place of Fluellen against Akron, both running and catching the football, and he motions into the slot. Pressure coming from the corner again. Danton can't escape, and he's brought down in the backfield by Boje Filimoe Atu. It's the 5th sack of the season for Filimoe Atu.
And it's that dial-up blitz. That's what they talk about. Dave Aranda, the defensive coordinator, talks about he's only going to bring 4, but you don't know which 4 of that front 7 it's going to be. They do a great job. It really puts a lot of pressure on the protection schemes up front for the Toledo Rockets.
And Utah State with some momentum here after the stop. Cameron Webb, McCade Brady, both back to return. And from the 45, it's Webb. Webb change of direction. And he takes it past midfield to set up Utah State again. Special teams tackle by Jaron Elliott. That time to check in with the studio.
Return of 8 yards for Webb. 1:29 to go in the quarter. The Aggies lead off 7-3.
Scott, thanks. What a thriller out there in Albuquerque. And here on the blue turf for Boise, Toledo brings a blitz. Keaton to throw. Dropped. Another opportunity missed. That was Matt Austin. And 2nd and 10 now.
You know, they've talked a lot about the fact that they want to get Matt Austin going early, get him involved, get the ball to him. Maybe he's an older guy, he's a little sluggish to get going, I don't know, but they talk about that a lot. That's 2 balls thrown in, he's caught 1. He's got to catch them all in this game.
6th-year senior, Austin. And they got to trade out footballs here.
Tempo teams do not like it when officials slow down the game, I'll just tell you.
And that was a concern for Utah State and the offensive coordinator, Matt Wells. He said, I want to know what this crew is going to be like if they're going to spot the ball and get away from it and let us go. Another blitz from the edge and a short throw to Chuck Jacobs. Nowhere to go with it, maybe past the line of scrimmage.
And that's an inaccurate throw. You have to throw to the receiver so he can catch the ball and continue running. That's a difference between a negative gain or no gain and a potential 5 to 10 yard gain.
Utah State will not huddle. Starting running back for Toledo, David Fluellen, getting that left ankle taped. They converted 45% of 3rd downs this year. Keaton rolls the pocket. Now he will run with it, and he makes one man miss, picks up a block, and he takes it for another 1st down. How do you explain a quarterback who's so dangerous running the ball primarily on 3rd down?
I'll tell you what, that was all on him. That was a design pass play, moving to his left. He gets a great block on the outside, sees a gap there, comes out. Then he makes a move that only a wide receiver / running back can make. Quarterback shouldn't be able to make those kind of moves, but he's also smart enough to not take a hit. He gets out of bounds for the 1st down.
Good blocking downfield by the Aggies receivers. Now Joe Hill will take this direct snap, and they're going to run a reverse off of it, and they want to throw. Keaton's got to change direction. Now he will chuck this one out of bounds. And Keaton is slow to get up.
He's okay. He's probably more disappointed than anything else. It's always interesting in bowl games. You want to typically be the first one to run the trick play, but if somebody runs to theirs, you've got to make sure you run yours pretty soon.
First play from scrimmage for the Rockets was a flea flicker, and so Utah State trying to get in on the fun here as the 1st quarter nears its end. Timeout used by Utah State.
Timeout.
As they face a 2nd and 10.
Utah State, 30-second timeout.
The 10-win Aggies with the lead here in the 1st quarter, 7-3 in the WAC versus MAC. Utah State with the lead over Toledo. Tom Hart with Mike Bellotti. Some question as to why Utah State would use a timeout in that situation. There's no wind here on the field today.
It could have been the quarterback was a little shaken up. It may have been they had the wrong personnel group in the game. I thought I saw the tight end coach sort of shaking his head like, yeah, we got the wrong mix in there.
Mike Sanford, the tight end wide receivers coach for Utah State, on his way to Indiana State to be the head coach of the Sycamores after today. Former head coach at UNLV. Another option, Keaton keeps it. Nearly to the 30, and that will be the final play of the 1st quarter. Robert Bell in for the stop for Toledo. So far today, Chucky Keaton has the play of the day, a 62-yard keeper on the option for Utah State. The Aggies able to answer the early deficit to take a 7-3 lead here on the blue turf of Boise. Back for the second quarter of action between Toledo and Utah State right after this.